This is just for me very meditative and relaxing. And I thought, well, yes, this Saturday was the first day of spring, and why not celebrate spring by making some flowers, some kind of fun little flowers. So what we have a very simple setup today. You just need some watercolor paper or just some paper, but watercolor paper does very well, of course. If you have a little hair dryer on hand or something just to speed up drying, that's great. Just some watercolors, your favorite colors, a little something to paint in, a round brush is preferable. And I use, to do my sketching or to start my drawing, I actually use a pencil, and then I will use some pens. But the pencil helps just to get kind of the basic doodling down, even though some people prefer to just doodle without that. But I like the pencil because it just gives me more control. So what we're going to do first is we're going to create our little motif. Now here I did 3 flower shapes. One is kind of, if you can see here, I did like a 5 blossom shape, and this one was just sort of a chrysanthemum, kind of just sort of random, maybe the several blossoms, and this is more of a tulip shape. But whatever you want to use, this is is fine. And this leaf was actually added later, but we can do a leaf too. That's all good. So let's just take some watercolor, and what would be good is maybe just to mix up. I have some water here, and I'm going to put some colors in my little palette first. And I'm going to pick, well, let's see, I'm not going to pick green yet. I'm going to pick this really pretty color. It's like a pink. This is actually, this set, I'll have to take this out. Oh, if I can get it out. This set I bought on Amazon. It was a little tubed set. It's Daniel Smith, and I don't know why I can't get, there we go. I made a little swatch. There we are. I made a little swatch of it. These are a little set that I bought, the little tin and the little half pans. But I bought this set, and it's the Haines set, and I love it for florals because of there's 3 amazing greens, 3 of my favorites: Cascade Green, Green Apatite, and Undersea Green. Those are just fabulous greens, and these are just beautiful for florals. If you love doing watercolor florals, that might be a nice set to get as a treat for yourself. It comes with this is the Opera. It's a very bright pink. And now I have this quinacridone magenta, which is amazing because you can make reds and other colors by mixing yellow with that. So it's a very transparent color. So it's really a nice versatile color to have. And then it comes with this beautiful imperial purple. It's so pretty. These are all very mixable. That's what I like about them. So I'm just going to put a little bit of color. And this is a very meditative or calming practice. So maybe, of course, it's been a crazy week. So I'm trying to just kind of take some slow breaths and just take my time and have fun mixing some colors up in my palette. What I like to do is really mix them on the paper, but making enough of a color wash on the in the tray, so I don't have to keep going back and dipping into the palette. So I'm just gonna take this green, and I'm gonna have that for my leaf if I do decide a leaf. And one more color. What could I pick? A little bit of this turquoise. Now that didn't come in the Jean Haines set. I just love phthalo turquoise, so I did add that to my palette. And then there's a color called Moon Glow, which makes beautiful shadows. It's kind of a purple gray color. So I've got this nice combination. And you notice I've eliminated yellow, which I really shouldn't, because we need our warm colors to go with our cool. So I'm just going to do a little of this yellow. It's a nickel azo, is what it's called. And it's just a nice bright yellow, and it mixes really great with color. So you can see this magenta that I've got it kind of in a nice, kind of a beautiful orangey red color. So now I've got some colors, and I don't need to go back into the palette. And the first one I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of repeat what I did with I like I like doodling outside the lines on this 5 petal flower. So I'm going to just do another 5, maybe 3 of those 5 petal flowers. I'm just going to start with my bright pink. I'm going to do a little petal shape, and I'm going to just go 1. and whatever size you want, like this one's about 1.5 inches. I'm just going to make 5 loose petals, really light. Because you want to go light to start with. So I've got 5 right there. And then what I can do is I can always add more color, which I will. I'll add some of that magenta here. I'll just pop some in there, maybe a little more. Just kind of let the colors float around on your paper. I realize I think I have the back side of this paper instead of the front, it could cause some more granulation, but that's okay. You always notice the back sides will take the paper differently, I think because of the sizing. I'm going to do this on the front side, and I'll just kind of show you the difference when you use the back side and when you use the front. This is the front side, and this should be a softer, have a nicer look to it. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to make 5 petals, kind of like, basically they're sort of circular or oval shapes, basically. And you can just be loose about it because flowers are not perfectly symmetrical. There we go. I've got 5 petals there, and then I'll just get some color in there. And then now the paint's floating around a little better. The wrong side paper just wasn't doing the job. Something was wrong. And I'll just add a little bit of yellow, just a touch. If you have it wet enough, you have time to kind of move the color around. Or just shape your petals the way you want them shaped. So now I've got my 5 petals, and then I'll let those dry because they'll dry nice and light, which is good for the doodling. And make this petal a little bigger, I think. All right, there's 5 petals. I'm going to put this one away because I don't think it's going to dry nice. And now the next one, I could do another petal like this, or I could do something with a little more petals. And so I think I'll do that. I'll just take this one. I'll start with the pink again, and then I'll add purple, just purple only. So I'm just going to let's do more of a daisy shape, maybe kind of a long petals, and maybe just more of them. And it's just random. Maybe 7, 8. I don't know how many I can get, but I'm just going to kind of do them like this. And the more loose you are, it's just better. It's a little better. I'm going to add a little purple to this because I want this one to be more on the purple side instead of having the warm colors. And then I'll do one more petal in there. There, I've got a daisy shape kind of going on. And we'll be doodling inside and around and outside these. So just give it a play. If you have lots of paint so that you have a place to doodle in. I'm just going to kind of make these stick out just about like that. I think that's fine. And this will dry lighter than what it looks like now, so that's good. And I'll do the next one like the tulip or just any kind of flower shape. But I'll just go ahead with the tulip because it's kind of fun. And that would be just a tulip shape would be kind of a shape like this. And that kind of came out brown. I mixed it with purple. Uh-oh. So I'm just going to add some of that yellow just to give it some pop. Now I've got these 3 shapes happening, and we could add stems and leaves if we want, but these are pretty wet, so I'm just going to dry these, hit them with the heat gun. And it doesn't have to dry, well, before we do any drawing, yes, you have to dry you have to dry it so that it doesn't, you don't want the pens to get into the wet color because it will ruin the pens. It'll actually stop the ink flow. So I'm just going to do this just so I can start the leaves. I'm going to get the edges kind of done. And the stems. We want to make some stems for our flowers. I got to be careful not to melt my tabletop because I have a tabletop that doesn't really like heat. So I'll just kind of lift this thing off of that. It's one of those cutting board surfaces. and does not like being hot. Okay, so now I'm just going to take my greens, or the green that I have. I could draw stems or just go ahead and brush them in. I'm just going to go here, and I'm going to make a stem here, down to here, and then I'll do one.
Karen, can you move your paper up? It's
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
There we are. There, that's better. Okay. Yeah, I forgot that there's a camera over my head. All right, so now we're just going to bring this next one down. Just kind of bring it down to hit the hit the bottom of your paper, and you can add some moon glow or purple to it. Like maybe at the top, if you just add a little purple and have it kind of flow down, that gives it more of a shadow effect. So I can do that on both of these. So I've got that green at first, and just adding that purple or the moon glow even, or anything that's sort of a shadow color. Purple's perfect if you have that, because it does mix with the green. It makes a beautiful kind of shadow. So you get that dimensional or shadowy look. And then I'll take the same thing. I'll take some more green, and I'm going to bring this one down. And this one, I'm going to kind of, let's see what we're going to do. I'm going to bring it just like, oops, a lot of water. I don't want to have too much water. I think I'll just take it and kind of bring it from here. And just kind of like, there we go. Kind of like that. And then same thing, I'm going to add a little yellow to this. And this will be doodled too, these stems, so keep them kind of light. I'll use a little of that moon glow to give it this shadow. Just drop that color in the wet, and it will just kind of go down. And now I'm just going to take some green and make my leaves right now, right off these stems. So right here, I'll do a leaf here. And let's give it some more green. I don't even see it. And then maybe some yellow to kind of give it a little bit more, just some difference in colors. And this, like these will doodle over the leaves too. Let's see, we should probably do another leaf somewhere. I think maybe in here, because this doesn't have a lot of interest. So I'm going to just take this, I'm going to bring that into the wet, and then I'm going to bring another leaf, except this one's going to kind of cross over, or can kind of look like it's going to the back. We'll see, or maybe I'll just leave it. Okay, I'm going to do it right now. I'm just going to go, and I'm going to go just like to the, it needs to be bigger, because obviously that's a big flower, so we need a big leaf. And it crossed right over. I just kind of went right over that, and it kind of looks like that's going to be, because it was still wet, the leaf actually looks like it's in front of that, and that's what I was looking for. And it was kind of a happy accident. It wasn't really intended, but it worked out, and I'm really glad. So now we've got 2 leaves and 3 flowers. So we've got, and also the stems to do some doodling on. So now I'm going to go ahead and start drying this. Actually, while it's still wet, I want to make this leaf a little bigger. So I'm just going to kind of expand it out a little bit. And it's still wet, so I've got plenty of time. So I'm just going to take this and kind of just make that a little larger. It needed to be larger. It was asking to be larger. So I'll just go ahead and hit it with my heat gun. I love this heat gun because it's so quiet. It's called the Ranger Heated Craft Tool. And I think I bought it I think it was Amazon, and it's been so quiet because some of my heat guns feels like an engine, a plane engine going off. And these are really nice. So I can see my paper's wrinkling a little bit because of the heat and the water. And it's not ideal for drawing, but what you can do when your paper gets that way, see how it's kind of warped? But so all I need to do is, because it's good cotton paper, I just massage it and kind of move it around. I'm going to move my paints out of the way because I'm done with that. I'm finished with the painting. And what you can do with the rag paper or cotton paper is just kind of play with it until it's flat, especially while it's still warm. I'm able to get that. So that is the base. Now we can doodle, and we're done with painting. So I'll put those away. I'm going to give you some time to dry your paints or however you want to. And we may want to come back to painting. It's not like they're not totally gone, but we just want to have that, get to the drawing part of it. So usually I take a pencil. So I'm going to take a really fine little pencil, and I'm going to create kind of a repeat of something in here and maybe draw some on the outside. So maybe in here, the first thing I'll do is a circle, just a little circle. Make sure it's dry. I'm just going to make a little very light pencil circle. That kind of is my center point. And I'll do this on these two because they need a circle. This one, I won't do that to. This one will be maybe divided into, maybe I'll do a line that goes like this, and maybe one that goes up like that. So I kind of have just a petal kind of thing going. And I think I should drop my camera down a little more so you can see what I'm doing. Oh, wow, I screwed that on really tight this weekend because I had a heavier camera. Oh, it won't go. It's not budging. So hopefully you can see that. When the lines are there, you'll see them much more clearly. So I'll go back to this one, and I'm just going to sketch out, and I'm just going to concentrate on this flower right now. And I'm just going to sketch out, maybe I'll go a little petal, kind of just a pretty little petal, and I'll go kind of to reach out to the 5 petals I've already made. Just like this, so I can see my little petal here and here. And I'm just creating kind of like a little petal shapes. So I've got those, if you can see them with the pencil. And then this is just kind of mapping out what I'm going to be doing when I'm sketching with my pen. And now I'm just going to take that, and I'm going to do a little kind of a circle, sort of a circular shape, maybe a petal shape here in between. And this is the part where it's very just kind of, if you actually don't think about it too much, they turn out better than when you think about them too much. So I find that the more actually what I might just do is, instead of doing it with this pencil, I should just do it with a pen. Because it's, once I make that decision to do it, it's done. I'm doing it. So one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my pencil, I'm going to go outside the shape of my petal. So I'm actually creating that line outside. And I'm going to do the same thing on this one. I'm just going to go and make kind of petals that extend outwards, which I think will make it more dynamic. And you'll still see the white of the paper. And even if we want to go back with what color, we can. Just going to go outside. I'll do the last one here. Okay, so now I have my 5 petals, and I'm going to go ahead and start drawing more seriously now, without the pen. Without the pencil. So I'm taking a 0.3 pen, and I'm just going to go starting from the center out. And really, the best when you're doodling, it's good to start from your center. If you're doing in a kind of a mandala sort of shape, just start in your center and then move out, and then you can detail later. And so I'm just going to make my circle, my little circle in the center. Very slowly, I'm just going to make that. And then I could do something else inside it if I want, but I won't do it right yet. And then I'm just going to take that next. I'm just going to kind of follow the little drawings that I have already done, or I don't have to follow it exactly, but kind of gives me a guide to the symmetry of this. And I can always erase the pencil marks later. So if you decide you don't want to go on that pencil mark, or you just like to do something a little different, that's okay, because you can erase it later. And this is a time to have some nice quiet music. Or what I like to do is I take my painted pieces, and then just while I'm on the phone or talking to somebody, because since we can't see each other in person, we can talk on the phone, and then we can also doodle at the same time, that takes away the attention from your left brain and your right brain are kind of working, but they're not, one is not interfering with the other. So you're more creative and you tend to be much more free and loose with and not so hesitant. We tend to hesitate because we think we're worried that maybe we're not going to make a nice drawing. But if we just kind of let it flow and just have that calmness with your pen and your hand, and not have too much coffee in the morning or anything like that, just something that just kind of be in a calm space, you can really get some nice line work. So here I've got my core of this flower, and I won't do anything yet with these pencil marks. Now I want to do stuff to make this. I could do lots of details, or I can go really, I can actually just do the bold lines first and then maybe detail later, because it just depends on how much time you have. And you can always, I'm just going to go on the outside. You can always come back and add more, well, you wouldn't be able to subtract once you put this pen down. That's it. You've made your decision on what you want it to look like. And bigger, bolder lines are kind of harder, so just stay really calm and go slowly, but deliberately. And I had a person years ago who was so concerned about her lines because she had a little tremor in her hand, and it really she was frustrated because she couldn't get a really smooth line. And what was really amazing is when she just kept persevering and then just enjoyed the process, her jittery lines looked really gorgeous. She did not have smooth lines, but as a consistent piece, it looked really beautiful. And she accepted that, and she just made gorgeous work because of that. Letting it go and letting go of the expectations of perfection. This is just a practice. It's fun. And I'm going to bring this up because I like this little petal shape. I'm going to kind of repeat the petal shape inside here like this. And just kind of work on your one flower to start with. See what happens. This would be fun to do a starfish too. If we get into the ocean themes, make a starfish. So now I'm just letting go of the pencil idea and just making strokes happen. So now I've got this piece going, and then you can just keep going. Build from there. Like this one, I could just do another line right here. And if you do it kind of in a sequential way, where you're kind of going around, rotating your piece, your watercolor paper, you'll be able to control the pen a lot better too. That one's kind of fun. And what I could do is just keep detailing, and I'll just that's my core piece right now, and I'll just work on that later. And then this one, I'm going to go to the second one, and I'm going to, same thing, I'm going to take this circle, and I'm going to start with my circle. And I haven't done any preliminary drawings on this at all. So I can decide as I build from here. I could do anything I want. It's an open thing. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to kind of go with the petals that are here. And I'm just going to start right about here. And I'm going to make kind of a scallopy shape just to kind of go with those petals. Oop, there we go. So now I have whatever they were, 7 petals, it looks like. And from there, I can build from there. I can do lines, which I'm going to just do lines coming out here. So I'm really thinking kind of flower-like. Instead of just doing a Zentangle where it's just a Zentangle, I want to kind of go with the flower feeling. like the petal, the direction of how they're growing, and I think that would be fun. And then I could add my little swirls and unusual things afterwards. So now I've got this little guy going, kind of have a base of something, and then I'll let that sit. I think I have an idea of what I want to do with it. And then this tulip, I'm going to just take these lines that I first started as my starting point, and then go from there. On my first one, if you can see, I did some kind of crazy stuff here. And this one, I just want to try a little more like a flower feeling. So I'm just going to take this, and I bring that line to right here, and then same with this, I'm going to bring this down and kind of curve it down like that. And I think I might want to do this with the whole thing, just do like a little zigzag thing, because it kind of makes me feel like I'm like a tulip. There we go. I'm just doing those lines like that. And now I can build from there. I can do doodles inside those places. So I guess in the Zentangle world, this would be like a string, if that, I think. I might be wrong. So same thing with these. We can take our leaves and start the veins in them here. And this will take, I'm going to go ahead and go back to this one. But this will, I would say I won't be able to finish this today. We won't be able to in our time frame. But what we do is this is like the foundation. And I'm going to go ahead and erase the lines that I had drawn in this piece here, just to get them out of the way, because I don't need anything anymore. So I'm just going to go ahead and erase that. Just get them out of there. Okay, so now I have a core. And with your pen, you can vary the width of the line, which can give it some more interest. Like, instead of just having one width or one weight, let's say I want to kind of make this a little thicker, maybe down here, just a little bit thicker. I'm just going to kind of go over it a little bit and sort of thicken the bottom a little bit. I'm going to go back on my line, and same thing, I'm going to thicken it at the end. And that's what's great about a pen. You can go over it and create variations in weight in your line. So now I've got this different weight going on. And you can do that without, now I'll do that with all of them, but right now I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to go to my next thing to show you what I'll do next. I kind of think it'd be fun to take this and really give it a lot more weight in the middle, thicker. Just give it some more power, like just a little bit more weight. So now I've thickened that one. So what I could do is, as I see this, I could put circles in here. I could put whatever I want. I'm thinking just fine little lines with a really fine tip. This is a 3, so I'm going to take my 1. I'm just going to take that one. And or I could leave it alone and do little fine lines inside here, start to darken this area. So I think what I'll do is maybe I'll darken, I'll just take this part right here, and I'm going to kind of start by making little dash lines, small little deliberate lines that really looks like, to me, when you do it, it sort of shades it, because now it's darkening it just by my little lines. I'm going to do that on all of these. Just slow and deliberate. And all this is just helpful for your mind. And I mean, I've had a crazy busy week last week, and also this week isn't looking any less crazy. And I thought, I was looking forward to having some kind of quiet time. And it's not happening as soon as I want. But you know what's happening now is, just in the few minutes that I've been working with this, I'm calm. I feel this is completely putting me in this very moment. I have nothing else I'm thinking about. And that's the beauty. That is what makes doing art and creative things so important for humanity, because we need this. need something for calming. We need something to help heal, and doing something with your hands and visually making something beautiful, or even processing things. This is a wonderful way to do it. So now I see this little, you can see that little texture now with just the little lines. And I think I'll darken, I might just do another little circle right inside, a dark circle, just to kind of give it a pinpoint of focus. And I can always go back, and you can always go back with white if you want. If you find that you get too much dark in your work, just go back to light. You can just take your white pen. I'm going to take these little guys and detail them. I'm just making more lines here, just to bring more focus to that focal point right in the center, smack dab in that flower. And I'm going to just darken this with a little bit. And if you don't know about these pens, the Micron pens, these are very nice to use for this kind of thing because they are pigmented. They're a felt tip, but they have a very strong nylon tip. They last quite a long time, and they're maybe $2 each, but they really last a long time. So I invite you to kind of, if you don't have them yet, add them to your collection, because you'll be happy when you're doing these kinds of things. So now I've got this going, and I think what I'll do is I'm going to just blacken. I'm not sure if I want to blacken these yet or not, but I like what's happening here. It's a very nice feeling. I could probably go a little darker right in here, just give it another little layer of, kind of take that line and thicken it a little bit. And this is something maybe if I have some time, the beauty about these is you don't have to finish it all in one sitting. If you only want to spend 10 minutes a day, or 15 minutes a day, or maybe in the morning when you just first get up, or at night when you have a busy day and you just want to kind of calm down, just take these out, bring them out, do several paintings, get the watercolor done. 'Cause that's a different feeling, when you're doing the watercolor, there's more energy, you're kind of spontaneous, and here you're more mindful and you're kind of focused. So just have a bunch of these to play with. I think I'm going to put a little line through this because it's sort of screaming leaves. And for some reason, I've been doing a lot of leaf motif things lately. I'm really enjoying practicing making leaves. There's so many shapes and sizes. See, that adds a little more detail, putting that kind of in there. Of course, it's hard because my camera only focuses on the table. Hard to see that. So I'll just keep weighing. I could weigh these down. I could add little other things in here. This one, boy, and I'll give you some more. I'll show you some more on this, so how these look. So this one, you can see I kind of kept that simple, and I may just go a little bit more crazy on this one. So I'm just going to take these and give this some weight right in the middle for the stem, so that I don't, because we have like 20 minutes, but and I'll definitely, if you have questions or you want me to go over anything, we have time to do that. Or if we just want to paint together, draw, doodle together, that's fine too. This is something that each of you will have a different experience. And please never compare other people's work against yours, because you're unique in your own way of creating, and your marks, your brush strokes, everything is you. It's different. Everyone's different. So I just never judge your work, really. Always just, I understand if you want to improve and you're practicing something, if you think of this artwork as a practice, or this is a practice, there is no judgment, because you are just practicing. And then sometimes you'll get something that you kind of wow yourself, like, wow, how did I do that? And then sometimes you'll have something that's not so wow. You'll go, oh, it's just normal. That's normal in everybody. And everyone will have that experience. I'm sure even Georgia O'Keeffe had her paintings that she just tossed. And other artists. So see how this is just kind of coming together by changing the weight of the pen stroke. How's everybody doing so far?
Good.
Oh, good.
Good.
I'm just babbling along here, just going along. So now I've got all the weights on these petals. I really think it's fun right there, but could add some more details, but I'm not sure if I want to on that one. But I could later. It's all up to me. But I'm going to move on to this one, because this one sort of says, help, help me. So in this center, I'm just going to repeat these this time, no, I'm going to kind of go organic. I'm going to wiggle them around a little bit. Kind of move it. So it looks, not going to be, I did a straight line here and I realized, oh, I need to make it more fluid. So I'm just kind of, there we go. So that looks more interesting to me. And now I could do ways to get that focal point. I'm just going to darken the circle, but this time I'll leave a light circle under, just a little white or light area. And if I lose that, I can always add it with white, but I'm trying to avoid adding white today. And then I'm going to take this circle, because I'm not really happy with the circle, and I'm going to create weight on all these little lines that I had just made. I'm just going to kind of make a little triangle to kind of make those. Basically, I'm doing the same thing I did on the last one, giving that area weight just by thickening the bottom part. Basically, there we go. So now I've got all those have a little, it looks more flower-like, I think. And I could take my fine pen, and I think, I don't want this to look like a spider web so much. So what I might do is I'm just going to take this and doing the same kind of wiggly lines. And I'm just going to go making some lines to shade it somewhat, to shade that. I try to get my lines sort of around the same distance from each other. Because if I put them close together, then it just will look like I colored it black. And it's wonderful to have different pen sizes. It makes a huge difference. Tip sizes. So I always keep a 3. My favorite are a 0.3 and a 0.1 and a 0.5. Those are like the 3 that I use the most, but that seems like I work with the 3 and the 1 the most. And of course the 1 is the smaller and the 3 is the thicker. All right, so that looks kind of fun. So I've got like a center focal point going on. And now I probably should do something really different, because I'm kind of finding myself getting into this little spiderweb thing going. So, I don't know. I shouldn't think too much. I just need to go with it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make a round petal shape outside of this, linking them all together. So it kind of looks like little oval egg things kind of going off of each other. And I think that's fun. And now I can just decide if I want to go outside the line or stay in as far as making my petals. In this one, I kind of like the shapes of these petals. I'm not going to go outside. I'm just going to I'm going to take this line and bring it to this piece, and this one to this. And I'm going to do this on all of these. I don't need them to be perfectly exactly the same shape at all. I'm just going to kind of Just let them flow. See what happens. It's going to be fun to see what you have drawn, how yours come out, because I know we will all be different, because we are different. So now I've got that. So it's starting to come together. And so and of course I've got much more to go. It's going to take a while, but I want to show you what I like to do with the stems and the leaves. So I'll start with the stem. And usually I'll start with this one because I'm kind of getting there. Now here I see where the stem starts and it doesn't look like it's even connected to the flower. So I'm just going to kind of darken that a little bit by just taking some lines and going in really close together. The lines are pretty close. And now I've got those, they just kind of flowed in one direction. And now I'm going to take them and I'm going to go in a different direction. And that is a Zentangle move that somebody said last week and I forgot what it was. So,
Shattuck.
oh boy. There you go. I have the brain of a sieve.
They're hard to remember when you first learn them. Now I know them, but I've been doing it for years.
Right. And weren't you the one that told me what this little cross hatching?
Yeah. Yep.
What was the name of that again?
Shattuck.
Shattuck. Okay. And that's
Yeah.
Shaddack?
Nope. T. SHATT.
Shattuck. Okay. I'll have to look it up. And I'll look it up before I if I don't look it up soon, I'll forget. So you know what I'll do is I'll write it down. That would be helpful. Shattuck. Got it. Now I have it written down, so now I can look it up. Because that would be fun to just kind of, I'd like to be able to give, I'm not a Zentangle teacher or certified by any means, but just kind of put the origin of this mark, just give them credit, and also if anybody wants to learn to Zentangle, go check them out, because if I had the time, I would love to become a certified Zentangle teacher, but I just don't have the time right now. But I could have that in the future.
I'm a certified Zentangle teacher.
You are, Diane. Oh my goodness.
Mm-hmm.
Well, wouldn't that be fun? Would you ever be willing to do a Zentangle class with us?
Yeah, of course. Sure.
Yay! Now we have a certified. Yay! Okay. Well, we'll talk. I'll send you we'll get together and talk about that, because if it's we have guest instructors we try to do it every month, and if you're willing to do that, that would be great. And I could help with the technical part, the leading and the moderating of all you'd have to do is show up and share what you're doing, and if you have an overhead camera, that'd be great. But if not, do you have an overhead camera? Just curious.
I do. I teach a lot of Zentangle classes.
Oh, well, there we are. Hey, you're hired. That would be great, because I would love to enrich. I think that our members would really enjoy a real Zentangle class. So let's talk about that later. That'd be great.
Great, thanks.
Thank you. Oh my God, certified. Did you take the lessons from the Roberts at their home?
No, I did go to Rhode Island. I went to Providence, Rhode Island to do it in 2018, and it was with Rick and Maria and their daughters.
So you've got your certification fairly recent.
Yeah, I think I did it in winter of
That's great. Now they have a virtual one. I noticed they had a virtual one.
Yeah, there's one in May, and it's going to be online. They think that'll probably be the last one online, but I don't know. I mean,
well, maybe I should avail myself of it, because why not, right? I mean, wouldn't it be? I think going through that experience would be really enriching, just in my creative practice anyway.
Yeah, it's really fun. I mean,
even if I don't,
even if you don't teach, a couple of my students have done the certification not to teach, but just because they, love Zentangle and like doing it.
Yeah. So you really get the full thing, right, when you do it?
Yeah, they teach you. The funnest thing is that it's like this, where they teach. It's a lecture about how to teach it, but they give you a tile to do at the beginning of the lecture. So the whole time they're doing the lecture, you're drawing.
Which I know, and I remember hearing about this, and I think maybe Mr. Roberts or either one of those, they mentioned that when you're, well, I don't know, no, it was somebody else. It was on a TED Talks where they said that there are some professors are giving their students pieces of paper to doodle on because they retain their information better while they're doodling, while they're doing this. So that's pretty amazing. So I've kind of got this going, and I may thicken this line. I've got a little more wiggly squigglies going. And we could go outside the box with little dots and shapes, but you can see how this thing is darkening just by putting the Shattuck marks on that. And I can do the same with this. I think with this one's calling for circles, because there's not very many circles going on. So I think what I'm going to do with this one is I'm going to do circles that kind of, just to go the outside of the shape here, I'm just going to make a circle shape. It's not a complete circle, but just to go out to touch the edges of my sketch, kind of like peas in a pod. And just see how that looks. Yeah, that's fun. And then I could color, darken that, or I'll do the same thing with this side. Just making roundish, kind of ovals. They're not perfect circles, but they are circular in shape. And circles are really interesting to draw, because circles, they have a beginning and an end, and they have to begin in the same place. So you've kind of got it's interesting to work with circles or circular shapes. So I'm going to do another of these. I'm going to kind of bring some lines here, like just to kind of, maybe just all the way up. I'm just going to do these lines. I'm kind of curving the lines a little bit. They're not perfectly straight. Really not to rush, don't rush your drawings, your doodles. And it takes a lot of focus. Like right now, I wear bifocals. And when I get to these really fine lines, I'm like, my focus, I start to get blurry-eyed. So it's good to step away from things. We've been working on this for about 50, while we've been intensely drawing for more like about half an hour. And what you need to do, when you find yourself getting blurry-eyed, which I have, I do often, I just step away, or I sit in a position, I sit up straight, I look outside, I give myself, change my change my focus to it helps. And also I move my shoulders around and just kind of, it's important to change your position and maybe stand up, get some water, things like that. But I wanted to show you, just going to leave that here for a second, just so, you get some ideas. This one I think is finished. This one will take some time, but they're very similar, but at the same time they're different, because we have our marks and doodles are different on